Hi guys, welcome back. Today, today we are reacting to a play. I played Spider-Man 2 hands-on and interviewed the director Bryan Intihar. Interview, new gameplay. I did skip because this is only the intro sequence, what we know, suits, what we know about map size and neighborhoods, mysterious weapons, like all that. But I want to make it to the interview and the long one, and yeah, let's begin.
But yeah, I just felt like, I was just such a big Marvel fan growing up. I feel like we had
Bryan has been with Insomniac Games since 2008, and has been the creative director of Insomniac Games since 2014.
so many Marvel fans at the studio, and I felt like we could just take the stuff that we're really good at and bring it to a Marvel property. And then obviously when the idea of Spider-Man came up, I just felt like he was such a natural fit. And 9 years later, now we're working on Spider-Man 2. So it was just kind of a word I use a lot is it's surreal. It's been a surreal experience since those days, and it's just been, I have one of the best jobs in the world. I really do. It's not not overstating. It's true. Like, I have an amazing job, and I work with an amazing team to execute these kind of games.
And lucky for me, I got to play hands-on with their amazing team created. Okay, so there were two things that stuck out to me at first. The first thing was the sound design, and this is surprising because I'm not usually a sound person. The first things that I usually notice are things like lighting and graphics and textures, but for Spider-Man 2, the soundtrack, the placements of sound in the 3D space, the crunchiness of the hits, they were so freaking good that they really stood out to me, and it was the first thing my brain registered. Whoa. This was in both the cutscenes and gameplay as well. Another thing I noticed is the draw distance in this game is improved, so things in the distance are loaded in much quicker and you can see much further. Now, the second thing that stuck out to me was just the level of speed and fluidity of the game. Swinging on the web is so much faster, and then of course the fluidity and seamless transitions. Now, I know that PlayStation Studios are pretty known for their transitions, but Spider-Man 2 just brings it to another level. So the game I've been playing a lot of lately is Starfield. Now, I don't mean to knock Starfield. I need to say I love Starfield. It's a great game. But coming from playing Starfield and the loading screens and those types of transitions and then going to Spider-Man 2, it's just crazy. For example, there's that one scene in Spider-Man 2, you're fighting the lizard, you're underground in that part of the phase, and then there's just...
My brain got confused because I thought I was on the floor, but they were on the fucking wall. What?
You're fighting the lizard, you're underground in that part of the phase, and then there's just the seamless transition to another phase in a completely different environment or world, and you don't even realize it. It just boggles my mind how cool or challenging it might be to be able to have an environment so huge, load in like that so seamlessly. And this theme of seamless gameplay, it's basically everywhere, from the transition to the map, to every cutscene. It's really some cool stuff here that makes it easy to stay immersed. So you guys, you never had any doubt or nervous, because you said yourself, you're a Marvel fan, right?
I think the thing is, when you realize you're going to work on something so beloved and popular and passionate fans, you continually worry, is it going to live up to expectations? Is the story going to be as good as they expect? Is the gameplay going to, are you going to deliver on swinging through a city or combat or this Peter story, or if you're going to bring in Miles, all those kind of those risks, we brought Miles in the same universe. That was something unexpected. Peter working for Otto in the first game, it was all like, we tried to find like, how do we respect the DNA of the franchise, but how do we mix things up and mix up in a way that people like, not list like. So I probably worry enough for everybody. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not so good, but yeah, I mean, I think there's always that nervous excitement that, we're doing something that I hope people really like, but you're always going, I just hope they like it. I just hope they like it.
The jitters.
There's a lot of jitters.
Miles' set of moves was super fun. So in Spider-Man 2, you use the L1 button in combination with the X, square, circle, triangle to use your special moves, and they fill up over time. So of course Peter has his set of moves, and here you can see Miles has lightning-based special attack like his Thunderburst and Chain Lightning, and it's really cool to make combos out of those attacks. How crucial was the success of the first game to Sony agreeing to acquire Insomniac?
You know, I don't know if that was tied at all. Like, I just know that, you know, when I was told that we were, you know, it was many months later, I was told that we were going to join PlayStation. I was extremely excited. Like, I just thought it was, I mean, we had been working with Sony for so long. We know, our producers have been our producers for so many years and so many titles. It just felt great. I mean, I just, you know, my reaction was, this is incredible, because they've just been such a great supporter of our studio. And I think what, you know, we talk a lot about, you know, our team and, you know, working with Marvel, which has been so great. I'd like to remind people, like, the support we get from Sony and our producers and everybody across the board, whether it's PR and marketing, it's always about what's best for the game, what's going to make the best game. And I think, you know, it might sound like I'm giving advertisement for not, but the truth is, like, it makes you want to make the game better, because when you have that kind of support, it's just, it's incredible.
Going back with the support at PlayStation, so can you expound on what kind of relationship PlayStation has with Insomniac? Like, how does PlayStation deal with these?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, like, if you look at the business side, like, yeah, there's Sony HQ and our producers and something, but, like, truthfully, we're all kind of one team. Like, I think of our producers, Mark Cerny, Grady Hunt, Ara, Joe, even Connie Booth, like, they're just an extension of the team. And, like, these are people who've made amazing games for multiple years across multiple studios. They are such a great resource for feedback and support and reassurance, and hey, we're having
Guerrilla Games, Humsmith, Naughty Dog, Santa Monica. Yeah.
we're having a question about this. What do you think? So to me, you know, in many ways, they have made me and many of people at Insomniac better game developers for all that feedback. So it's not really seen as like, oh, it's us and them. It's really just about one group, you know. And I would bring, even, you know, with obviously working on Spider-Man, Marvel's just another element of that, you know, that support that we get. And it's, you know, when we get all that, now obviously part of my job is to take all that feedback and figure out how we act on it. But, you know, I would say that's, if you became a Spider-Man fan because of that, because of Spider-Man 1, a lot of part of that is because of the support we get from those two groups.
Regret ever coming here. Yeah.
Peter has his own special attacks utilizing the symbiote. And I especially love the new symbiotic surge mode, which is essentially almost a rage mode that you can utilize when the meter is full. When you're in the symbiotic surge mode, the sense of power and damage is just super satisfying, and I just can't help but smile when I activate it with R3 and L3.
But no, pay attention.
Harry, this place is coming down. We need to leave. No, hold.
You guys are like one big unit.
Yeah,
You guys,
yes.
So if you guys are family, you technically have brothers, like in the form of Santa Monica Studios, Guerrilla, Naughty Dog. So I do ever go like, hey, Corey, like I have this scene. What do you think about this?
Well, a lot of the times I sit there and I go, oh my God, their games are so good. We have to compete. You know, I definitely think that, you know, we talk, you know, like, for example, Eric Williams, the creative director on God of War Ragnarok, good friend of mine, great guy, and super smart. And, you know, when we were launching, we launched obviously God of War and Spider-Man launched in the same year. So I was talking to Corey, what was going through. And I think, you know, it's always there if we want it. We're all really busy, so that complicates things. We're all working on projects, but I think it's again, it's that support. Like, if you need it, like, we'll get it. I think it's not something that happens every day. But I think at the end of the day is we all want to make great games, and that meet that standard that all PlayStation Studios has done for so many years.
Yes.
So, you know, in many ways, I'm very envious and proud to be part of that group. You know, it's just so, you know, when you play a PlayStation Studios game, there's certain expectations, right?
Yes.
The quality, and I think we just hope to every game we release, we're hitting that quality bar and hopefully raising it, and constantly being part of that esteemed group.
In any of the Spider-Man games, did any of your sister and brother companies, did they give you guys any input on a specific mechanic that you guys can share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, like, for example, like our writers are really good friends with the writers on God of War, so we're kind of always talking, about certain things, and not to go into too much detail, but yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if you played God of War,
Yeah.
those are really good stories, and they're really good writers,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
get it, having them, look at things. So, for myself, I know our writers have been in touch with them. I'm not sure how much we've gone back and forth on their stuff, but I see if any time we can get feedback, whether it's
Yeah,
from, when new Insomniacs come to.
But God of War Ragnarok, I'm gonna say it again. That was amazing. Amazing game. The first God of War was phenomenal. God of War Ragnarok is incredible. The God of War 2018. And God of War Ragnarok is actually one of my favorite gaming series ever. Like, yeah, Halo is one of them. Other games also, but like the story, the emotions, the acting, the voice acting, like everything about the game and the gameplay and everything about it, the story, everything about God of War is phenomenal. Same thing with Spider-Man. Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales is my favorite. Honestly, God of War is my favorite gaming series. But to be honest, Spider-Man is my favorite gaming series. And then God of War comes close second. Spider-Man first and then God of War. And because Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales was phenomenal games. Loved, like I said earlier on my last video, I got annoyed of Spider-Man and Miles Morales, but that's normal. I still enjoy them. We're going to have some cons. We're going to have some pros. A lot more pros than cons. And to be honest, I feel like there's always a game there will be some cons. Like there's some slow pace in Spider-Man, PS4, and Miles Morales. Same thing goes with God of War. Some fights last a little bit long. Like with Ragnarok, the Thor fight towards the ending was kind of short, and out of random, Odin killed Thor. That's a little bit too fast. Yeah, I get it because it's happened, but I don't know. I feel like the second Thor fight wasn't really. It doesn't mean anything to just lead up to Odin gets killing for us to have a one long Odin boss fight that was pretty easy. But yeah.
To the studio, or we do a lot of testing with friends and family, or even getting some fresh perspective from UX. We're always looking to get feedback on the game to make it better wherever it comes from.
How can I get on the list of the friends and family? I'm kidding, but no, that's so fun because I also just want to talk about. We mentioned God of War. That I'm also a huge fan of that.
I'm a huge fan of God.
And I discovered God of War with God of War 2018.
Hey,
and I ended up.
That's a good game to discover.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it's nice to see that all.
I discovered God of War. I knew of God of War, but I didn't really get into and wanted to know about the story and play it. I haven't played any God of War. I have heard of God of War, but the first game I've played of God of War and actually want to sit down and play was the 2018 God of War. Like, I appreciate everyone got from God of War 2018, not God of War 1, 2, 3 from the old school God of War. Like, I don't think people who like are in their 30s or close to the 30s, like 25 to maybe almost 30, but would have played God of War 1, 2, and 3. And would have knew of God of War, knew of Kratos, knew of his brother, knew of his wife and daughter that he killed and blah 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 blah. And stuff. But if you're like my age, like 21, and a little bit lower, your first game and you want to sit down and play is part of God of War 2018.
Hey,
And I ended up.
That's a good game to discover.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it's nice to see that all of you guys support each other, help one another.
Oh yeah, I
and-
mean, I think you'll see it like when a new game launches, kind of we all come out and support each other because we.
Yeah. I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. Right here. Santa Monica. Come and show all our friends at the Insomnia Day for reaching this incredible milestone. Only 1 month away, we can wait. Ben Studio, who did Days Gone. James has gone gold. And stuff. Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah, we also know how hard these games are to make.
Yeah.
It's very complicated. It takes a lot of hardworking people. A lot of people work.
Hi. We reacted to a and these people look so nice and looks incredible.
Really, really hard on these things. So, just getting a game out is an accomplishment in itself. And then when you release games like The Last of Us, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima,
Yeah.
it's pretty Horizon. Like I can go down the line, Astrobot. There's just so many. It's incredible to be, to see it come out and you want to support them.
Yes, I agree. I agree the hard work that comes into it.
Do not wipe my library.
Also new for Spider-Man 2 is improved mechanics and use of the DualSense triggers in certain scenarios. Like you can see here how you need to adjust and give just the right amount of pressure to each trigger. You'll also notice how tight and fluid the camera angle and controls are. And it really gives you that sense of being in tight spaces where you really need to be delicate and use the controls in a really immersive way. Reviews and scores, can really impact the success of a game, especially nowadays in the age of social media. So I want to ask you personally, how do you view them? Like, do they affect you at all? Or like, what is your entire stand when it comes to reviews?
Obviously, we want the game to be received well.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I think, something I talk a lot about myself, you definitely can get, into that mode of looking at the reviews. I think what I always tell myself at the end of the day is, can I look at myself in the mirror and say we did everything we possibly could to make that game great? And that's the one thing I can't control.
Yeah.
We do everything we possibly could to make that game great. And if I can say that at the end of the day, that might sound a little cliche, but I feel like that's the thing I can control is that did we do everything we possibly could to make the game great? And if that is, then whatever score it gets, it gets. Obviously, do I want it to be highly scored? Of course.
Yeah.
I would, of course, but at the end of the day, it's about, can we feel good about, I come to myself and say, hey, you know what? We put something out really great. I'm really proud of it, no matter what the score gets.
Of course, because it's like your baby. You want it to be well loved. You want it to be well received. So of course you're gonna want people to like it.
Like we're in school, like you want to get an A on the test, right?
Exactly.
Of course, but everything. It's also about like the effort you put in, and did you know? Hey, I feel like we did the right thing. We made the right decisions, and it's subjective. People have their opinions, and I respect that. As someone who used to be a journalist way back in the day, I understand it's an opinion, and I have to respect that.
Yeah, and it's giving yourself the grace, which I really appreciate that, and I'm sure other creators will appreciate you hearing. It's giving yourself grace and knowing that you did everything that you can.
Physical?
Can I just say, I really love the lizard boss fight. There's no other way to describe these boss fights other than to say these are boss fights for gamers that love the game. The way you have to use the environments, navigate the puzzles of the boss fight, and the intuitive way you have to implement the complete suite of controls given to you, parrying, dodging, gadgets, special moves. You really do have to utilize everything they've given you in an intelligent way. And on top of that, you add the sound, the seamless transitions. I could not stop smiling during this whole fight. And the great thing, if the lizard fight is this good, how amazing will the final boss fight be? Who knows?
Who knows? Until we get our hands on it. October 20th.
With them!
Who's the person that you'd really trust their opinion on when it comes to your work, and why? Like, who's that person you would go to for validation of your work?
That's a great question. I think it really starts with our team. I think I don't think it's like one person is going to be like the voice. I think, the game is made by a lot of really talented people across many different disciplines. It's not just the game I'm directing. It's made by many animators, designers, audio engineers, programmers, riggers, writers. And at the end of the day, it's about starting with that. Like, if we're excited about what we're making and we're happy with it and we're honest with ourselves with what we're making, I think that's where obviously we put the game in players' hands, while during development to get feedback. But, it starts with, like, what do we think?
Yeah.
And I lean on a lot of people, whether it's Jacinda, our senior art director, Ryan Smith, our senior game director, Bobby, our animation director, Mike Fitzgerald, our engine director, Doug, our gameplay programmer, Josue, our design director, John, our lead, our narrative director, Ben and Lauren, our writers, and many more names I could mention today. Most of the time, we're tough on ourselves too. We're asking ourselves, like, hey, do we like it because we like it, or we like it because it should? And I think if we start there, everything else kind of takes care of itself.
Okay, so I'm going to go off script here a little bit because since you mentioned that you value your team, how do you guys settle creative differences? And like, what gets decided for that? And has there ever been an instance where you guys went with one way and you found out it didn't work, so you guys had to backtrack?
Yeah. We talked about family, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what do families sometimes do? They sometimes debate. They sometimes have disagreements. Mm-hmm. But I think when we do that, we're also trying to be really respectful of each other's opinion.
Of course.
And sometimes, so I would say most of the time, the direction we go kind of becomes pretty obvious. Like, as we talk about it, there are times where, in my position, I will have to make a decision and say, hey, we're heading this direction. Sometimes not everybody's happy.
Yes.
But that's okay. And then sometimes, we also have to admit, hey, we make a decision, we go down a direction, and it's not the right one. We have to be, transparent about, hey, we made the wrong decision. And sometimes someone will say, like, but I said, and that happens. Like, it's part of a creative endeavor. You're going to make decisions. Sometimes they're going to be right. Sometimes they're going to be wrong. You hope when the wrong ones, you have enough time to correct it. In video games, it takes iteration is real, and it takes a lot of time, and sometimes you have to make a decision at that moment. So hopefully you can make it with enough time to change, but it's healthy debate, and we try to be really respectful of each other. And
yes.
As being a creative director, for 9 years, part of my evolution as a creative director is to learn to trust and to trust the experts of being really good. Like, for example, I'm not going to tell Bobby, the cinematics director, challenge him on his cameras. I trust Bobby, the expert, someone who has won awards with his team about making great game, or a writer is making decisions. Like, I'll have an opinion, but I also have to learn to trust them at the same time. And I think what I've learned is the more you trust people, the more they take what you want to do and they make it even better. Yes. And I think that's something I learned in my evolution as becoming a creative director.
Yes, and I totally empathize with you on that one, because even though, of course, there is a technical aspect when it comes to video games and, the things which are what's right or wrong, there's still the things that are ambiguous. Like, you wouldn't know what direction you want to go because there's like different directions. It's kind of like art, like how people can perceive art, and like beauty is subjective to the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah, and sometimes we'll put out a demo or a trailer, a gameplay reveal, and you think someone's going to comment on all this stuff.
Yes.
And then
they notice something else.
Completely something different, and I think that's like you said, it's subjective. It's some people do see different things, but I think at the end of the day, it's really about respecting your team, trusting your team, and being open to an idea, suggestion. Sometimes you can, I think early on, it being a creative director, you want to instill confidence in the team that, hey, I'm the person that can help lead this project, establish the vision. But I think what you do is you have that, you help establish a vision, but also be open to something new, something to a different perspective. And I think the more you do that in the relative time that you have to make the game, I think it leads to a better game. I think Spider-Man 1 wouldn't have been as great if it weren't for people speaking up and going, I think we should try this.
Definitely.
Same thing with Miles, same thing with Ratchet, and now same thing with Spider-Man 2.
Also, in Spider-Man 2, we have the return of photo mode and the Spider-Man app that clues you in on neighborhood-specific missions that you can sort of choose like a buffet. There's also the return of the remote Spidey bot, which is always fun to use.
Yeah, and then Miles Morales.
And of course, gadgets, which I should mention, playing Spider-Man 2, I did not miss the gadget wheel at all, and I found the R1 button and the combination with the other buttons felt really nice.
Show off.
Were there things in Spider-Man 1 which you guys wish could have done, but there were just certain limitations that was imposed on your team, either like a deadline or maybe the technology hasn't caught up? So what were the things that you guys wanted to add in Spider-Man 1 that you guys were able to add in Spider-Man 2 already?
I think it was less about the technology. It was more about, for us in many ways, Spider-Man 1 was like a new IP, right? We never had made a Spider-Man game before. So there's source material and we're referencing it and we're influenced by it, but in many ways we're building Spider-Man from scratch. We're building his moveset from scratch. We're building enemies from scratch. We're building a combat system, traversal system, a city, a traffic system, pedestrians. That's all brand new. So it was about just getting all that stuff up and running. And then what we did with Miles in Spider-Man 2 is to take those elements and expand them, make them bigger. For example, obviously with moving from PlayStation over to PlayStation 5, we can now, on Spider-Man 2, we can swing a lot faster.
Yeah.
Our set pieces can be more dynamic and go from,
this game looks so
starting
beautiful.
out, like when you're fighting the lizard, up, below ground and seamlessly go, back out into the city.
God,
now,
I need it.
We had ability to do that
Now.
before, but now because of PlayStation
I need this game by now.
5, we can do that better. And I also think is like just having more experience with like what makes a great Spider-Man mission, what makes great Spider-Man mechanics. It allows us, like, I can tell you, like, of course we thought about the web wings for the first game. Like, of course we did.
Yeah.
But we're like, we got to nail swinging, because swinging's got to, like, that's the core Spider-Man fantasy.
Yeah.
How do we deliver on that? So kind of said, okay, let's put web wings aside. But when Spider-Man 2 comes around, that's one of the first things we're going to get in there, right? So I think it was less about what we couldn't do, it was about, hey, we got one shot to get this right.
Yeah.
And let's nail it. And then if it's successful, which hopefully, and it ended up being successful, we can build upon it. And then not only build upon the stuff that people liked, but find out areas where we thought we had opportunities to even get better. Our bosses, our open world, the sense of exploration, discovery, and push those elements.
I got goosebumps with you explaining that, because it's like you could make a Hollywood movie out of all the pressures and stressors that you guys experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think with any creative medium, there's kind of challenges, right? You have those ups and downs. Whether development, some parts are really, games are really, whether it's a movie, a TV show, your show. I mean, anything. It's hard. It's hard work. It takes iteration. It takes being honest with your work and challenging yourself. And I think that we can do that every single day. Like as we're trying to finish the game, we're challenging. Okay, what is this worth doing? Should we make this change? Is it worth it? And we're gonna do that all the way till they say, "All right, Brian, we're done." Yeah.
All right. So I love how you mentioned. Oh, just one more.
We're at time.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That was man, I miss so much. All right. I guess I'm just gonna ask you, what are you most proud about Spider-Man 2?
I think I'm most proud that the kid who grew up wearing 8 Under Roost T-shirts at once, and his mom, because he told his mom he didn't know what superhero he wanted to be that day, would be proud of the game we made.
We're gonna heal the world.
You know, if you need me, I'm just a call away.
Lee, you don't know what you took from me.
All Miles talks about is how to be a better Spider-Man. How to help you.
What the hell's going on with Pete?
He's
Wow.
not himself. Go
Can't.
help
I
him.
can't. I
This
need
was our
it.
dream.
Whoa.
I'm not going to lose him.
We're going to
Heal the world. Oh my lord. October 20th, 2023.
Oh no. No. I can't really.
What the Okay, hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did enjoy the video, please top the video. Comment below, subscribe, post notifications for the syndromes. So I've been doing another Spider-Man 2. I gotta say this. Spider-Man 2 won the corner in one of the biggest games, and I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and I can't wait to get my hands on it while using the Spider-Man 2 controller. I need it. I need it right now. I need it. I want to swing. I want to try to swing, and then I know I want to do something. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy, and I'm out. Peace.